Welcome to another exciting episode of the Make Each Click Count podcast. I am your host, Andy Spleichel, and today we have a dynamic duo joining us. Today's guests are Shreya Banerjee and Paul Counts, the brilliant minds behind Marketing Counts. Together, they've revolutionized the world of digital marketing by integrating Six Sigma principles into content strategy and creating systems that don't just work, they thrive. Shreya, known as a fixer, brings a unique blend of lean manufacturing and digital marketing experience, while Paul, a seasoned digital marketing since his teenage years, has helped countless businesses grow through innovative organic content strategies. Whether you're struggling with your SEO, seeking to optimize your social media presence, or wondering how to increase your ROI with a minimal ad spend, today's episode is packed full of insights that could change the game for your business. So without further ado, let's dive on in. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So happy to be here.
So Shreya and Paul, you both have had an incredible journey in digital marketing world. Can you share what initially inspired you to integrate Six Sigma principles into your marketing strategies? And for those that aren't familiar, what is Six Sigma?
Yeah. So my background actually is in manufacturing and lean. It's not marketing. I went to school for mechanical engineering of all things. But my passion I've always had a drive to come towards marketing. And the reason I came back to it was my son was born about 9 years ago. I wanted time freedom. So I kind of came back to it. And I had like 12 years. My background was manufacturing and lean. So Lean Six Sigma is really, I call it common sense. Because it's principles to make a car production system. So it actually comes from the Toyota car manufacturing company and how they've laid out their manufacturing facility. It's actually called Toyota Production System, and that's where it kind of comes from. It helps you reduce defects. I know that's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but we kind of applied that same principle in marketing because when Paul and I met, and it was like 6-7 years ago
About
now,
6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, Marketing Counts. And we started getting different clients in different industries. And we kept seeing the same pattern. And every time I see pattern, I think process, because that's just how my mind works. And the patterns are always inefficiencies, waste, and jumping from trend to trend. And if that sounds like you, because that's, I think, about 70% of the people in marketing that just love to jump from trend to trend to trend, right? And it's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault, I would say. It's that's what's taught in schools. That's what's taught by all these online gurus. You jump from one trend to another and try to make the most of it. That's where the process piece came into place, because we designed this process called our FTE process. We focus on foundation. That's what F is. T is traffic, and E is engagement. And if you apply this process, we'll talk more about it as we go through this. If you apply this FTE process, doesn't matter what industry it is, you start seeing amazing results that you don't see otherwise.
So what do you mean by jumping from trend to trend?
You remember Clubhouse?
Oh, yeah. For a few minutes, for sure.
That's a great example.
That was a trend everybody jumped into. Even our clients, I remember, Paul, you remember this. They told us, I am telling you, why am I telling you you're our marketing CMO? Why should I tell you to jump into Clubhouse? And we had a very good reason why not to jump into Clubhouse.
Yeah, it just creates massive distractions. And that was just one example, but there's so many new trends that people jump on and they forget the stuff that's always worked, the principle-based marketing that's always worked for the test of time. Clear back 20 years ago. And, my background has been in this for, since I was 13 years old, going on 26 years now. And when I started actually selling t-shirts online, I had the same process. I would write up sales copy that I would then email out to people that would entice them and get them excited to purchase. Fast forward 26 years later, I'm still doing the exact same thing. And we're doing the same thing for our clients. Is you're understanding who your audience is. And that's really what this process is that Shreya brought to the table, that we kind of perfected in a way. So to allow businesses to grow without getting the distractions, and by jumping from thing to thing, there's a lot of new platforms that pop up. There's new advertising opportunities. There's new things you should put your attention into. And those are all well and good, because it is good to jump to trends at times, because you can actually capitalize and make some money and make some quick wins. But before it goes away. But what we run into is a lot of times people do it before their foundation's even set. So they're jumping to the new ad platform, expecting all these results. But the reality is their foundation stinks. Their copy on their landing page doesn't sell anybody anything. And they're wondering, well, this is just another marketing gimmick that doesn't work. And it's like, it's not that the marketing gimmick doesn't work. It's that you weren't ready for it. And that's what we run into. And so that's what we mean by jumping from hoops to hoops is it's okay to be on top of the trends. We're on top of the trends. You are, Andy, and all of us have to be in this marketing world. But if you don't have your foundation set, your business is not going to take off. So that's where we go with that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So Shreya, you're known as the fixer for your ability to streamline processes. How do you approach inefficiencies in digital marketing campaigns? And what are some of the common mistakes that you see with new clients?
Yeah. So we actually have a very well-defined process. The one we just talked about, FTE, foundation, traffic, and engagement. And majority of the time when you're taught marketing, if you're hiring somebody straight out of college, if you're learning it yourself by some guru online, right, or some teacher, they teach you traffic. And many people also think marketing is just running traffic, running Facebook ads, running LinkedIn ads, right? Marketing is a lot more than just running ads. And that's a mindset I think we all need to kind of shift. It's we have to focus on the foundation first. And when I mean foundation, it's your customer avatar, it's your website, it's your landing page, the conversion on the pages. And it's not sexy. So no one wants to talk about it and no one wants to do it. Right? Everybody wants to just run to ads. We actually have an example of this. We had a very well-known real estate person who wanted to run Facebook ads to fill up their webinar they were trying to do. And they ran our ads, $500 worth of Facebook ads. They sent it to their page, their main website, and they said no one converted. No one signed up for their webinar. What's the problem? The problem was when they went to their website, there was nowhere that anybody was telling them to sign up. They were not directing it to a landing page. They were not showing them how to register for this webinar. So all that $500 just wasted, right? Now, as a normal person, if I did that, I would say Facebook ads don't work. I just wasted that. But it was because the foundation was not set. So that's what we kind of go in and really focus on your customer avatar, even though it sounds very boring to do. You have to know your product might apply to everybody, but there is a little stream, right? You could have different customer avatars. I used toilet paper example quite a bit. Like there's so many different types of toilet papers in the market, but some like Charmin super soft, and then some are more economical, but they're, like sandpaper, and like, which one do you choose for? It applies to everybody, but they portray their message in a way that they're getting the right people to buy it. So you kind of have to have that toilet paper mindset in there and say, where does my product fit in, right? Customer avatar, very important, converting landing pages and website, and also good SEO. People take that for granted. SEO, very
being able to get free traffic, and like we're big believers. One of our things, this is when we serve as consultants or advisors, or when we have been fractional CMO for brands, the thing they don't like about us initially is we cut their ad costs because we're going against the grain. We always go, when everybody's going left, we go right, or people go right, we go left. We do the opposite because that's what ends up working. Because the reality is they believe, a lot of people are just led to believe that if you spend more money, $1 in, $1 out. So if I spend more money, I'm going to make more money back. The reality is it doesn't always work that way. Ad costs fluctuate, things fluctuate. And if you don't have a solid foundation, you might as well forget all that. And so our first 3 months, people don't like us because we cut their ad spend. And then all of a sudden they realize we're more profitable than we've ever been because they apply these processes. And we don't mind dealing with their consternation for a while. It's okay. Like we're used to it. We tell them that straight up. And it's because this process works. Like we've gone in and cut ad budgets by, for smaller brands, $30,000, $40,000 a month. And we said, no, you're not going to spend that anymore. We're going to cut that entirely out. And we're going to focus on your foundation and using the assets you already have. So for example, a lot of people are sitting on email lists that they've never emailed because they're just working on growing that list from ads, but they don't email that list. Why would you not email your email list? And so there's a lot of brands that are sitting on assets they don't touch. And so that's kind of our philosophy is use the assets you possess, use the content you have, use the strategies to get organic traffic. You can run ads, 100% run ads, but don't do it till you're ready. Make sure, because if it's not going to convert to your email list, it's not going to convert to a cold ad. So let's fix that first. then we go at it. But no, everybody wants to run the traffic first. It's just,
Yeah.
it's the
So
sexy part.
when you guys are cutting the ad spend, is it something where you cut it and then you work on conversion on the website
Yeah.
and then you'll revamp
Yes.
it?
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Or was it that you're just looking for, bad ad spend, I guess, where it'll never
Couple
convert?
of things. Yeah. You're hitting it on the head. It's a couple of things. One is, of course, bad targeting. We just worked with a brand that they were constantly not profitable. I went in and looked at their targeting. They were targeting the wrong people for their offer. And so, of course, they weren't getting conversions. And so they were making it way too broad. And they were finding people that they had a $2,000 offer, and people are in the comments saying, well, I'm on fixed income, and all this. And it's like, they're not our target audience. And so we had to fix the targeting there. And so it's a combination of fixing the targeting, fixing the copy on the landing page, getting that conversion. We still run some ads, but maybe we're not running as much as they were. So let's say they're spending 1,000 a day or 2,000 a day. Again, we're talking small business numbers here, right? But they're spending 2,000 a day or 1,000 a day. We're cutting that to 300 a day or 200 a day, so we can test it first and see if it's going to convert. If it's not going to convert at $200 a day, it's certainly not going to work at 1,000 a day. And a lot of people just want to keep spending that money, and we're like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, fix the
works.
conversion.
It works for big businesses, and that's what
Yeah.
that's what's taught to us, right? Throw money at it, it will eventually work. Small businesses don't have that liberty. We have to protect each dollar that we have. Each marketing dollar is, very important. So that's why conversion is very important. That's why foundation is very important.
Yeah, we're definitely advocates for the small business owner. The big business, they have the multi-million-dollar ad budgets, the billion-dollar crazy ad budgets. And so they can afford to throw, and I always use the analogy that a blind squirrel finds a nut some of the time, so if anybody's throwing ad copy out there, you're going to convert at some point. If you're throwing $100,000 at a Facebook ad, it's going to convert to some. So, but the problem is small business owners don't have that luxury. And so, to the name of I smiled when I saw that we were going to be on the show, because your podcast is called Make Each Click Count. And
very similar.
Very similar. Yeah, it's perfect because you have the same philosophy we have. So I appreciate that.
Now let's talk about your organic strategy, because you had mentioned SEO.
Yeah.
What do you, because that, that's a whole nother world, and things
yeah.
that have really changed in the last, just a few years. But what are you guys doing to help bring more organic traffic to your clients?
Yeah, a couple of things. Like, one of the biggest things we focus our efforts on, it's finding the right keywords that people are actually searching for. It's helping them realize that SEO is still a thing, regardless of, all the new technologies that are out there. That's one, getting them to buy into that. But we focus a lot on finding the right keywords, fixing the title tag and the meta descriptions. We go back to the basics at all times, because if you think of it, you have to tell Google what your website's about. That's the most basic level of SEO, but most brands get it wrong. They're targeting the word home on their homepage still. They're targeting the word about on their about us page. We worked with a publicly traded brand that they worked with an SEO agency for 12 months. Their title tag was home on their homepage. It was ridiculous to even see. And you have to that's the title of your page. You have to tell Google what it means, right? If people are going to click on your result if they're looking for something in particular, and you hit them with that message. And so we focus on that first. Then we focus on revising the content, making sure that people are going to stick. We focus on adding rich media to the pages. That'd be videos and images, because the longer somebody stays on your website, that longer Google views it as it was quality content. And Google knows how long people go from the time they click in a search results and then the time they hit the back button to go back. They know how much time that is. A timer is started. Whether you use Google Analytics or not, they still know. So there's no way around that. Google knows. And so if your score is low, meaning like they're bouncing very quick with under 5-10 seconds, your content stinks. And so you have to improve that. And so that's what we focus on. And then the other thing is page speed.
How are you improving the content?
So that's that rich media. So we're improving it by rich media, meaning you add images, you add visuals like infographics, things of that nature to pages. And the other thing is the infographics serve really well, because you can then put them up on Pinterest and put them on Instagram and platforms like that get you organic traffic. And so you can, double up your efforts with it. But the infographics are great because people have to stop and look. A lot of times when we help people revise their copy, and we go in and we work with brands that working with a brand right now that is a pretty large brand, and their pages right now are just straight text. bulky, chunky paragraphs that are difficult to read. And so breaking up the paragraphs to make them short and sweet and easier to read, putting in bullet points where there were no bullet points, because that's easier on the eyes, adding in these infographics, adding in pictures, we can triple and quadruple that stick rate. And then that means that page now gets that much more weight within Google. And so it's little things like that that people can do to their content. But the number one biggest thing, though, is making sure your content is on point with what it's about. And it's using common sense practices. If your article is about, how to cure back pain or how to decrease back pain, that's what the content should be about. That's what the title should be about. That's what some of the headers should be about. That's what the images and the infographic should show. That's what the video should show on the page. Videos are such a huge driver of increasing that organic ranking significantly. And it makes a big impact.
What about backlinks? Do you guys work with clients to get backlinks?
We do. Yeah. We work with some to get backlinks. It's definitely not as easy as it used to be to get backlinks. There's definitely some effort that has to go in there. You have to, really hunt for who your backlinks are coming from. And a lot of times it's coming from strategic partners. It's, in some cases, it's profile backlinks on certain major websites that are out there. Believe it or not, those still work. You still get a lot of juice from those. But the biggest one is it's kind of that, help a reporter out is one of the sources we use. We've all heard of that. We've actually done that successfully. Yeah, Harrow's a really good one. You get notifications of publication opportunities. All it takes is one or two of those, and you can really see a nice uptick. The other area is guest blogging. It's still one of my favorite things to do. You can actually search for in Google. You can actually do a search in quotes, the term guest blog, and put in your niche after it. So guest blog health, let's say, and you'll find a whole list of blogs that are in the health niche that are looking for guest bloggers. And you can go out and submit your content idea and then get a backlink back. Like, they know the game, they're looking for it, but a lot of those are higher authority sites. And so you can get an in context backlink is what it's called.
That's a great suggestion. How would somebody who's listening who would want to implement that, how do they know that they're a higher authority site?
Yeah, definitely.
It's worth their time.
If it shows up, so a couple ways to look is to look at, you can do this is kind of a nerdy thing to do, or a techie thing, but you can do a search called, the number one thing I do is CACHE. So pull up one of their articles and it's called the cache search, CACHE : and then put in that link into the Google search bar, search results. And what's that's going to tell you is the last time that page was actually cached by Google, meaning, was it recent? Was it 2 years ago? Was it a year ago? That's like point number one, because you want to know if their articles are actually being indexed. Because if they're not even being indexed or indexed recently, it means Google didn't value that website enough to go spider that content, recently. And so that tells you that your articles, it's going to be a waste of your time. So that's number one. That's like bare bones, the most basic. The other thing I look at would be, if it shows up, the reason I like to do that guest blog search is that if it shows up in that search results, it generally is a higher authority site, because Google viewed it as, even for the term guest blogging, it put it up there above the other health sites. And so that's number one. So I always look at those first 10, 20, to get an idea. And then the other thing you can do is there's tools like SEO Moz. There's the Moz bar. It's a toolbar you can get. And I think it's called the Moz bar. They may have changed the name, but it's a toolbar. You can get an extension for Chrome. And if you just look up the Moz bar, you'll find it. But it basically will tell you, like, what is the, what's the domain authority, how many backlinks, and obviously the higher the authority, the better. Usually 30 and above is going to be good for most brands, small businesses trying to get a backlink. You're not going to get a backlink if you are out there, like, you're not going to get a backlink from a high authority site. And, generally most of the time, don't try to go get a backlink from adobe.com. It's just not going to work. Right. But 30 and above is great. And, bigger brands can try to get those bigger backlinks, but 30 and above is really good. And so that's one way to vet it. And then another easy backlink strategy is just being a guest on podcasts. That's another great strategy, because usually in the blog notes and things like that, they'll link to your website. So becoming an authority in your brand is probably one of the best things you can do as a business as well.
What about AI-driven content?
Be very careful.
So glad you asked.
Careful. So actually, Google did 2 bans this year already, where they've removed a lot of AI generated content that was posted, late last year, early this year. It's all about having little content, but very, very quality content. not so much copy and paste AI stuff.
Yeah, they did two major updates. They actually got rid of a lot of websites felt the sting, and they're still feeling the sting. And they even called it their spammy content update. They literally identified AI as spammy content. They just flat out said it.
And it's not hard, actually. It's just the EAT formula, right?
Yeah, it's the EAT formula that we teach people, which stands for experience. And so it used to just be experience, authority, trust. And expertise, authority, trust. And they added in a separate E to it, which is experience. And so your content should apply this EAT formula. It sounds very complex, but really it just boils down to your content should show your experience. What experiences do you have? Because AIs can't generally have realistic experiences. So what experience do you have, or does your customers have with your product and service? So you can tell those case studies, tell those stories. Those are kind of things that work well. And Google even has guidelines for this. They actually you can look up Google's search quality guidelines. It's all out there. Google puts it out there. It's a PDF and it's massive. And the EAT formula is right in there. And they tell you can use customer case studies, examples, things like that. So they want to know experiences that was the first thing they did to combat AI. And then authority is, okay, what authority do you have to teach this? And so one of the things we've done to help clients actually improve their SEO was creating an author page. So even larger brands that we worked with, we would tell them, like, you need to have your CEO, you need to have somebody, a professor, somebody that's got the degrees behind them, or somebody in your brand. They're the person that wrote your articles. They don't have to write the articles themselves, but you're going to create an author page for them. And that makes such a difference because that shows authority. And so if there's anybody in your business that's written a book, perfect, even better. You would put them as an author page. We did this for a guy in the industrial ceiling fan niche who co-authored a book, and it helped him tremendously. At the bottom of every article, we put his name and we link to his author bio page. And that right there establishes that authority. And it's one of the factors. The other factor is, of course, being active on social media, and Google looks at all these things. So experience, authority, and then, your expertise, what have you done? And then the trust factor, like what other people say about your brand and your business, and what kind of elements can you bring to the trust factor as far as case studies and examples and things like that. So, and then also like scientific references. Another thing that we've done really well with from an SEO standpoint is finding, health journals or online journals or .gov sites or places that have good research that actually tie in with what we're saying. So like if I'm writing about small business and I link to the SBA.gov website, an article on there, and I link out to it, that actually shows trust because I'm sharing good, valuable resources with people. So linking out to good places is also a benefit and a way to really help your SEO. But those are some of the things from a content standpoint. You really have to avoid that AI content. You can use it to get yourself started, but Google also just did a deal with Reddit and Quora. It was about $100 million. It was like 60 million to one, 40 to the other, where they actually licensed content within the Google search results. And so if you do Google searches now, you see Quora and you see Reddit. Those are two forum type websites. And I would guess our theory is the number one biggest reason Google made that move is because they're sick of AI content being out there, and they know that those platforms are more human generated ideas and concepts, and they want to give their users the best experience. And so Google is battling hard against AI. And so I wouldn't do it at all. Like we worked, one of the brands that we got hired on, they used to have great SEO and they started to decline. First thing we did was do an AI check and found out majority of their content was AI, and they admitted it was, and their SEO fell off the cliff, and we've been recovering it ever since. So there's no easy.
What type of clients do you typically work with?
So it depends. We have a range. So we work with the, small to medium business, and then we also have publicly traded brands that we do on a, more of an enterprise level. And
now, are
these
these professional services? Are these e-com? What vertical?
So that's the interesting thing about us. So we have worked in every vertical imaginable. We've never focused down to one vertical because of this process that Shreya laid out. We've worked in everything from funeral directors to the lupus industry and gotten amazing results, to gut health, to tech education. Honestly, the niche has never mattered to us. One of our clients is in the hoof trimming business for cattle. Another one's in industrial ceiling fans. So it's the same process. We just cookie cutter it and apply it to every niche.
So let's talk about the process. If somebody comes in and they're interested in working with you, saying they're signing up right away, they heard great things.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
right at their foundation. I mean, the very first thing we do is we go back and we do a couple of things right out of the gate. First thing is we look at their customer avatar. We do that exercise with them, even if they already know who it is, because usually it uncovers like, oh yeah, we're missing this target completely, or we're trying to target, and Trey gave that toilet paper example, which is a good example because there's like 4 different types of it, and some brands are out there. You might have a product that hits 4 different people, but you have to speak to them all differently. And so, we dial in that messaging. And then the next thing we do is we do we call it, it's basically an audit of your an asset audit. And so those are the simple things we look at. How big's your email list? When was the last time you emailed it? What is your, we look at their current SEO. We look at what are they currently doing, if they're doing any SEO. What are your ads currently doing? What are you currently doing? So it's kind of just a health audit, a checkup. But it's important to get a baseline because you don't know. And the biggest thing we uncover there are fun things like, oh yeah, we have this old Facebook group of 20,000 people we've never touched. We have an email list of 30,000 we haven't done anything with in 2 months. It's shocking. I mean, happens all the time. It's crazy to us.
Or even wasted traffic. Now, I call wasted traffic when they're either paying for it or even if it's free social traffic, but they're not capturing leads. They're very happy with 10,000 Instagram followers or 20,000 Facebook group. That lead is not yours. It belongs to that platform.
Right.
If you're not capturing that lead, then it's a wasted traffic source.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. So those are the audits we look at. And looking at their social media is a big one. Like, where are your links going? Are your links going to a blank page or just an informational about us page, but no lead capture opportunity, like Shreya pointed out? And if that's not happening, they're missing the mark. And so we start with the audit check. And then from there, we take them through the strategy to determine, based on the avatar, what traffic sources should we focus on? Where can we cut in the ad spend and improve conversions? And then the E of our FTE formula is engagement. And that stands for, that's things like email, that's social media follow-ups. Like, those are the way you engage people. And a lot of times people, I will say though, not AI, but social media has become such a big platform for search right now that it's unbelievable. Like, social SEO, social search is such a big thing now that we used to teach people like, do social media last. Now it's part of the front side of our strategy because of the fact that people, the Gen Zers, the younger generation, they're going to your TikToks, they're going to your Instagram, and they're using that as their search engine of choice, not Google. And so they're looking for information. And, not a lot of people don't realize TikTok just expanded their character count to 4,000 characters. So when you make a post on TikTok, you can write a paragraph or 2 in there of meaty content, for SEO optimization.
Yeah, it's SEO driven and keyword driven rather than the hashtag driven, what it used to be.
Yep. And so with your service, are you handling this all, or are you advising? How does your agency fit in with a company?
Yeah, so we come in more as the advisory role. So we're coaches, consultants in a sense on their business. So we call ourselves it's a fractional CMO, interim fractional CMO. Basically, we direct their marketing. Our ideal client has a team in place and it doesn't have to be a big team. It could be a team of 2 people. It could be a team of 3 people. It could be a team of 1 that's really a go-getter, but they just need direction. And we also work with brands that have a team of 50 to 100 people that we can lead. And so, we really need somebody that can implement in their team. But our process is advisory. We do some work, we'll come in, and a lot of times we teach them the process. They go out and do it, and then we critique it, edit it, modify it. We kind of got out of the business of doing it all for people, and it just didn't really serve us very well. But we're able to do the consultative type of work. And we love that aspect a lot.
How does a company know they have a problem with their marketing? I mean, how do they? I mean, it sounds like what you guys are doing is great, and looks like you're really on the right path. But how does a company know that they should be reaching out to somebody?
It's the couple reasons people come to us is they're beating their heads against the wall. They're not profitable. A common thing we hear is, I've hired another marketing agency and it doesn't work. We hear that one a lot.
Marketing doesn't work.
Marketing doesn't work. We hear that one. If you're constantly saying that's probably the biggest thing. The biggest thing too is looking at like how ad cost lately, this is more lately, and I would imagine this is going to continue to happen, is we have people coming to us because their ad costs are getting astronomical and they're not able to offset things. And so one of the reasons they're coming to us is like, our ad costs are getting out of control. We need help. How do we stop the bleeding? Like, this is crazy because we used to be this much profitable. Now we're barely getting by. And ad costs fluctuate. And so people start to notice that. And that's usually when they realize they have a problem. Another big indicator you have a problem with marketing is if your leads and traffic are coming from one source. That's a problem, because if Facebook changes, Instagram changes, even Google SEO, we love SEO, but if SEO is your only traffic source, I'd say no, because you're just one algorithm change away from not having a business. And too many businesses are running that thin line. And so that would also be an indicator you have a marketing problem. If you have one traffic source primarily, that's 90% of your business. We had one guy that 90% of his business was referrals. And then he started to realize that referrals dry up over time. It's great, but you have no control over it too. It's either ride or die. There's no in between if you're running the referral game.
So how can an interested listener learn more about DTC SEO agency?
Yeah. So, well, one of the ways they would get in touch would just be, are you talking about like get in touch with us or just learn more?
Yeah. If they want to get a hold
Okay.
of you guys.
Yeah. To do like SEO. It's just marketingcounts.com. That's a great spot to get to know us a little more. We're actually currently refining our website even more, so it'll speak even better. So yeah, we're the classic example of, I always joke with people with our website that the cobbler that has no shoes, that sometimes is us, we feel, because we're helping everybody else. But it gets the job done. You can go to marketingcounts.com, learn about us, get to know us. And that's probably the easiest way to get in touch.
Well, this has been great. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up today?
No, I think we covered. I think the biggest thing is just be consistent, but also like think outside the box. Like it's okay to think outside the box in a sense of think back at what worked. We're finding right now the best things that are working for our clients and for us is stuff that used to work 10 years ago. It's coming back, and I think a lot of it's not that it came back, it's always been there. It's just that people jumped to the new thing and they forgot that, oh, SEO has always been here. Like, what am I doing? Or this is always, YouTube's been here for so long and it's still not, not old. It's new, it's still working. It's relevant. And so people just kind of view this stuff as old when in reality, it could be pushing their business forward if they just focus on it.
Yeah, nice. And for you, Shreya, any final words?
Yeah, I wanted to add that if you took anything out of this from my side would be marketing is more than just spending money on ads. So change that mindset and then kind of look at your entire thing where you're spending your money, but not also where you're spending your resources and time. It's more than just ads.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, guys.
Absolutely. It's great
Thank
to be
you.
here. Thank you.
For listeners, remember, if you like this episode, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave us an honest review. And if you're looking for more information on marketing counts or connecting with Shreya or Paul, you'll find the links in the show notes below. In addition, if you're looking for more information on growing your business, check out our podcast resource center available at podcast.makeeachclickcount.com. We have compiled all of our different past guests by show topic and included links in case you would like any information on any of the topics discussed during previous episodes. Well, that's it for today. Remember to stay safe, keep healthy, and happy marketing, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.